Hello, how are you? My name is Sergio Prieto. I'm the managing partner of Mayan Technologies, and we're here on our very first roundtable. I'm joined by Dora Chavarría, one of our partners, and also our technical lead on everything related to managing our technical consultants. I'm also joined by Marianne Hernández. She is one of our functional consultants, also a partner and or manufacturing expert and ops expert. Viviana Vega to my right, she drives all the professional services teams, meaning all the functional consultants. She's also a principal functional consultant herself on financials and also a partner. And at the very end of the table, we have Ernesto Álvarez. He's one of our principal architects, software architect as well, principal consultant on all the technical side, as well as a partner. So we're very, very happy to be here, and we're going to talk a little bit about something very, very important for us as a company in our culture, the way we work, how we have built the team, and how we started the company, how we have built it all the way until where we're at right now. And that's our processes and our standards, how we work, all the standardization, and the way we flow, and the way we talk to each other during the day-to-day operations whenever we're helping a customer. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about our workflow. From how we get a request from our clients, all the way to how we assign it, and how that flows into the team. So the very first thing there is that we're going to explore a little bit about how we get tickets. So Viviana is going to lead us a little bit about it, and she's going to share with us how the functional team and all the accounts will usually receive requests from a client and how that flows into the technical team that Dora drives, and how that ticket gets assigned properly. So Viviana.
The first thing, I guess, will be kind of communication with the customer. And that's always important when we do service with our customers. We try to have an account manager for each customer, and that way we can make sure that all the requests are directed correctly. When someone reaches out to us, whether that's a new customer or someone that's already working with us, we usually get the account manager to have a discovery call with them in order to understand what are their needs and what are they looking for, whether that's functional consulting or that's a new development. When we get new development, we get to gather all of the requests from them. What are the expectations? What are the ETAs? Which team is going to work with them? And that way we can kind of scope everything we need in order to pass this along to the rest of the teams, whether that's the functional or the development team. How do we manage our tickets? We have a ticketing system that's going to allow us to manage all of the communication internally. We make sure to keep that updated so we can move forward and have everyone in the same channel for our customers. That's kind of a main view of how we enter tickets, how we scope with our team. And then obviously, as I was mentioning, if this is a development request, we pass this along to Dora's team so she can work with her consultants.
Yeah, an important point about what Viviana is saying is that our account managers are also functional consultants. So in this case, you open a ticket and if your issue is more related on financial, on the first call, you have a functional consultant reviewing your request, making the proper questions because she or he knows the models. And we can start since the first call. It's not a salesperson that only knows sales and doesn't know anything about the Epicor models, but it's a person that is qualified and has a lot of experience on the models itself.
Which helps translation flow easier. And
Correct.
also make sure that you're not developing stuff that's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have someone that knows the system and that's getting your requirements, you might get into things or developments that are unnecessary. So I think that's a good point of having someone that's an account manager plus a consultant. They can help you to kind of define if that's something that you can resolve with base functionality or if that's something that needs to have an additional functionality embedded into the system.
We had a very similar experience to what you're describing, Marianne. They had a client not long ago that you were working with Ernesto, and they had this very, very complicated customization that they were trying to do. And then after we finally put them in touch with Marianne, they had a call. They were coming from another consulting firm, and they had a call with you, and I think you realized, hey, all of this is completely unnecessary, and you guys can just do it with base functionality.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the important part, like Dora was saying, is that we understand the business need. First of all, before we get our hands on any development, anything, we need to make sure that we put ourselves in the customer's shoes and understand really what they need. Sometimes you come from a very complex scenario, and in reality, the solution is kind of simple. We just need to understand and try to make the system work for you. And that also needs to be translated in our scope. The scope needs to be defined since the beginning of the creation of the ticket, because otherwise we don't really know how to tackle the situation. But like Sergio was saying, the initial call, having the customer display their needs, us understanding the business need and coming up with a plan is one of the earliest stages, and something that sounds very complex or complicated can really get simple when we start that discovery phase.
So that takes me to the continuing with the flow. We usually get a request from the client, then we have an account manager or a functional consultant assigned to that request. That request gets analyzed. We do a thorough analysis of it. We come up with a potential solution. From there, that gets assigned to Dora and her team. She will then take that request, assign it to a developer, and then that developer will quote it. So Ernesto, can you talk a little bit about the quoting process? Once you get that analysis, how we get those quotes done? Because I think it's very important, and something that a lot of clients will mention is, hey, I went to this company with the same request and I got two different consultants assigned at two different points in time, and my quotes were completely different. So something that I think we have been able to accomplish over the time is it's to actually be consistent with the quotes. Can you talk a little bit about the quoting process and how it works?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so at Mayan, we actually, through the years, we were able to develop this matrix that we were able to identify whether it's a complex customization or complex BPM. I mean, we were able to throw there some numbers or formulas there that can help us make the quotes an optimized and organized process, so that we know when it's a complex customization, we know what number of hours to allocate to that. So when it comes from different places, we use this internal matrix, internal file that we created, so that we can make this quote a standard process, so that when one is working with that, he knows, like, if it's a complex BPM, a medium BPM, or a difficult BPM, depending on the type of scope that we're talking about, we are able to assign the number of hours, and that internally we know for sure the percentage using QA and PM and all that. So that help us get the number all round up together. Through the years, we have been able to get that formula adjusted as needed. At the beginning, we were able to put some numbers, but then as we move along, we get more efficient. So now we get the numbers to a point, like, we now know which percentage it's being used. It's going to be used for QA or PM. We follow that process and we stick to a process to do that, and we are constantly reviewing. Maybe we need to adjust. Maybe there are new features that are going to make QA easier. So now we adjust that number.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the standardization piece really helps to maintain that quoting as consistent as possible. Dora, can you share a little bit about the insights on the development standards themselves? Because I know we have put a lot of time on developing naming conventions, having a repository for all the code, how does that play within the day-to-day operations? How critical that is, how helpful that is in order for us to be able to provide the best experience for the client?
Yeah, it's something that we are very proud of, this standard process. As Sergio were mentioning, we have some naming conventions that we always respect, but also we have that flexibility. So let's say you have a development team on your company and you need us to follow your naming conventions, we can do that as well. But we try to follow our standards. So it's easy for us and easy for you to know, okay, this piece of customization or this custom work was done by Mayan Technologies. And it's something that we try to tell our developers since they get into work with Mayan, so you can have the same experience. It doesn't matter if you have any developer working with you.
I think in addition to that, I do know of a couple customers that additionally to the naming conventions, they create or they follow some type of documentation, very specific, like spec files, work instructions, all of that. If your company requires that type of documentation, we can gladly follow your procedure as well. The important part is that either with our standards or meeting halfway, we have good documentation to make sure that your development is well documented.
Definitely. And you deal, Marianne, with one of our biggest accounts, the amount of work and the volume that they send us every month, and the amount of tickets and requests that they send us in every single day even. It's really, really high. And then you're delivering the project to different users all the time. It's not one single person. So how critical do you think the delivery nodes and having a consistent package of delivery nodes on every single project is in order for you to be able to work with multiple developers at the same time and then be dealing with multiple users at the same time from different accounts?
Yeah, definitely it's a game changer. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times we've tried to look at code from some other developers, and we need to spend more time than we should because we don't know what the solution is doing. So also, well, there's some type of knowledge transfer that happens inevitably where there's a user that changes position, or there's a new hire in the company that doesn't really know how the customization is working. So all of that documentation, all of those delivery notes that we produce helps us make sure that everyone in the company will know what the solution is doing. And we can rest assured that, for example, with this account that you put as an example, we put it on a repository. Everyone has access to that information. So whenever they need to understand what the solution is doing, we can just download the delivery notes and they'll get a quick look at the solution.
The important part of the standard process is that as a team, we need to be sure that no matter who is working on your account, if for some reason someone else has to step in, they might be out of the office, with the documentation and with standard procedures that we follow, we can give the customers the assurance that if someone else is coming in to deploy the components and everything, because we have all this standardized process and item, if anyone from the team can go in and deploy, they should be able to do it without any issue. That was for us is very, very important to follow the procedure, because that's the reason. It's not just because we want to have the notes.
I remember when we started working, Ernesto has been with us since we started the company, and something that I remember you and I worked together was to really create that standardization, that documentation, the flow, is step by step what each developer was supposed to do. And something that we always talked about was, let's try and industrialize the consulting industry to a degree. Because if you go out, a lot of our competitors and a lot of the companies and a lot of our clients will share this experience with us. Well, they go in, they talk with somebody, and then they talk with someone else within the same company. And then a month later, they're talking with someone else, and then someone else. And every single time, it's like they're talking with the consultant for the first time. Yeah. So the information they're sharing, the knowledge they're trying to share, it just becomes a recurrent problem where they have to over and over repeat themselves, re-explain, and then if that developer goes, nothing got documented, and they have to get someone else, even if it's from the same company, and that new person doesn't understand anything, so they have to do a little bit of reverse engineer to a degree to try and understand what was done. So, Viviana, can you share a little bit about the concept that we have in Mayan about always having everything within the tickets? We have a ticketing system that we use. And we basically have a very, very set in stone rule where we say nothing will ever get done if it's not in a ticket, and nothing will ever get modified if it's not documented in the ticket.
Yeah, which takes us back to consistency. I mean, we try to manage always the same resources with our customers. We always try to maintain consistency also with our customers, because not only it makes work easier for us, it also makes sure that we handle the same information with them. So there's always the same communication, and we also get to know them better, know the environments better. But even though when we try to do that always, we still need to kind of have some backbone so we can make sure that everyone's going to deliver the same kind of service and the same kind of information to our customers. If at some point we need to make a change on the resource, if at some point we need to make a change on the account manager, then having everything in the ticketing system makes us confirm that everyone's on the same channel. You're still going to have consistency along your project. Projects can be a one-day project or it could be a 3-month project. So if we have multiple information being managed, that way we can have a track or a traceability of what's being done in there. So that's why it's important to make sure that everything is registered, because that not only helps me to maintain or to provide communication to my customer, it also helps the team to internally know what's going on and how to manage the situation better.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thanks a lot for your time, guys. We're going to be working a little bit more on putting these roundtables together. This was requested by a lot of our clients. We have had this conversation with several of our accounts. over the years, where they will ask us, hey, do you guys have some suggestions about how to best manage projects, how to best document or internal systems, how to guys use your ticketing system? And as requested, we decided, well, let's going to try and do a roundtable. So please stay tuned. We're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to share knowledge as requested and as we see fit. If you like this video, click like and subscribe, and we'll be happy to be here next time. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.